everyone! So for today's birthday card, I'm using an image from the greeting farm. This is the Wild Sprouts Chelsea image. And as always, I inked it up with Memento Tuxedo Black ink and then stamped it onto CC Designs Copic Quality white cardstock. And then coloring her in with my Copic markers. So as always, starting with the skin, the same kind of skin combination I seem to use all the time. I need to start breaking out of that box, but there's less thinking involved when I stick with the same old, same old. So yeah, starting with my lightest, working my way to the darkest, then blending it out, and then adding the teeniest bit of R20 for her cheeks. And then did the same thing with the rest of her skin. I always, with these images, start with the face, do that, and then work on the rest of the skin. It just makes blending easier. And then for her hair, I started off with E33. And images like this are perfect for kind of practicing your coloring and blending and doing different hair techniques, that kind of stuff, because they obviously have such oversized heads and usually lots of hair to color. So with ones like this, I find it really easy to kind of flip the image around to make it easier to pull the color towards you or flick it away from you. Whatever works for you, you just play with it. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no right or wrong way. You just do what works for you. So I always start and just do lightest to darkest, and then I start working my way back and do, after I did the darkest, I do the medium color, and I start using a lighter touch, and I'm basically just flicking the marker, and that's what gives it the look more of hair, because it's just finer lines. It's just back and forth, and then I work my way right up to the very lightest, and that's when I use a really light touch and leave bits of white here and there for highlights, and then the hair is done. So since I wasn't planning on cutting out this image, I wanted to kind of fix a couple little mistakes where I went over the lines. So I just used my colorless blender, and that just kind of pushes the color a little deeper into the cardstock. It doesn't erase any color, it just pushes it deeper. So once I kind of fixed that up a bit, I went on to color her clothes. So just for her shirt and shoes, I was using RV 52 and 55, and then just blending those together. Just kind of keeping them a little bit paler. And then once I was done that, for her little skirt, I'm using the V22 and V25. So again, just kind of light. When you want more definition and more depth with your shading and blending, it works better to have 3 different colors, a light, a medium, and a dark. But if you want to just kind of a paler, softer look, 2 colors, just fine. So did that, and then decided to color her little iPod MP3 player pink. And I just used the RV55 for that. And then for the shading on the ground, I started with W3, scribbled that on a bit, and then blended that out a bit with the W1. And then finally went in with my W00 and really kind of blended that out just to give it a more shadowy look. And it almost gives it kind of a watercolory look when you do it like this. And then finally, I wanted to add just a bit more definition around the main image, so I went around it with my BG000. And then I started blending that out with the BG quadruple 0, which is even paler. And then finally I took my colorless blender again and went around the edges just so it would fade out to white completely. And then that was it for the main image. So once I'm done all the coloring, I just grabbed a piece of craft cardstock or crumb cake. I think this is Stampin' Up! Stuff. So they call it crumb cake now. It's craft, same thing. Anyway. And then I used a piece of aqua cardstock and I cut it out with one of my favorite things, Say What dies, the little speech bubble die. And then I grabbed some paper smooches stamp sets. I'm using the Alpha Dot set for the name. I actually made this for my daughter's good friend for her birthday, so I was able to customize it for her. And good thing I asked my kid how she spelled her name, because I didn't realize it was spelled this way, like with a Y. So always double check that if you're going to customize. Make sure you spell their name right. So stamp that, and then the hay was from the Teen Routine stamp set. That's also kind of what inspired the card. Because we got a gift card for iTunes because we found out that her parents had got her like an iPod for her birthday. So we got her a gift card, and I thought I would do kind of a whole card based around our little gift to her. So for the layout of the card, I just grabbed 3 strips of purple cardstock. It's Doodlebug cardstock, so it's got a little bit of that texture to it, which I love. And adhered that to the craft cardstock. And then I grabbed my favorite things, the flower border die, and die cut some pink cardstock with that. And then decided I had to add my go-to pink AmyRs ribbon that I use on pretty much everything. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are sick of it. I'm still not. I just love that pink. I get mine from stampsimply.com. Yeah, I think that's the one. I always link to it with my supplies. Anyway, I wrapped it around the card front, and because the main image was so large, the easiest way to get a bow in there was to just use a circle punch and punch out the area where I would want the bow to be, so that the bow can kind of pop out over that, and yeah, you're not wasting a bunch of card space or having the ribbon in a weird spot to make room for the bow. So kind of fiddled with that, and then threaded through the piece of ribbon I'm going to tie in the bow before pressing down the main image, just so I've kind of got everything where I want it. Just kind of a little bit of a fiddly process. And then once I've got that down, then I just tie the ribbon into a bow, fiddle with it, get it the way I want it. And then for that little die cut flower piece, I'm just using my Tombow Mono Multi liquid glue, really, really lightly dabbing it on. You don't want to use too much glue, otherwise it's going to ooze out everywhere when you press it down and you're just going to have a mess. So really light touch with that. And then I'm adhering the little sentiment bubble. So I was really happy with how this card just started to come together. It was just fun to kind of sit and fiddle and customize, and yeah. So the little music notes are also from the Paper Smooches Teen Routine stamp set. So I just inked it up with the VersaFine Onyx Black and stamped a couple of those on there. And then I'm just going to adhere that to a white card base. Standard A2 size card, as always. And then once I've got that done, for the inside of the card, I wanted to create something to hold the gift card we got her. So I grabbed the Paper Smooches Sentiment Strips die, and then the, or My Favorite Things Sentiment Strips die, and the Paper Smooches Sentiment Sampler set. Made sure it fit and stamped the happy birthday onto that. And then this little purple piece of cardstock, this is what I want to hold the gift card. So I lined it up straight. I used my pencil to mark the edges of the gift card. And then I just used my paper cutter to cut two really thin strips side by side for the gift card to slip into, and then just cut off the excess off the back there. So, and if there's like actual dies, like My Favorite Things has a nice little gift card holder die, which makes this way easier than having to fiddle and measure and all that stuff. But I didn't have it when I made this card. So I just kind of made do with this, and then made sure to apply adhesive along the top and then just along the very, very edges, because obviously the gift card is going to slide into that and you don't want it all adhered down, because then you just wasted your time. So I die cut another piece of pink cardstock with the little flower border die, and then trimmed off the extra flowers, and then again just the liquid adhesive, and press that down onto the inside of the card. Just like so. And then I thought I'd add another little embellishment, so I took the little iPod stamp from the Paper Smooches Teen Routine set, stamped it onto a scrap of white cardstock, and then I just colored it in with the same Copic markers I used on the main image, and then trimmed it out with scissors, decided kind of where I wanted it, and then adhered that down onto the inside of the card, and then grabbed that little music note stamp from the Teen Routine set again, after I adhered the sentiment down. Decided to add a few more little music notes just to kind of keep the continuity going. And then finally, of course, I had to slip in the little gift card, which you will see is what inspired the whole color combo of this card. So once that was done, the card is done. So there'll be a link below to my blog post with links to all the supplies used. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Bye!